Hey, what's going on? This is Brian from the education team with Digital Corner Solutions, and today we're going to talk about the difference between custom audiences on Facebook and lookalike audiences on Facebook. Basically, very quickly, we're just going to go through when and how to use them and really talk about what they are. That way, if you're not familiar with the difference, you can understand how to use these two types of audiences in your Facebook advertising strategy. So first and foremost, a custom audience. What is it? Well, a custom audience on Facebook is an audience that you tell Facebook to create, and this is going to be based on a rule that you determine. So for instance, if you had a list of buyers or a list of leads, you could upload those emails or that contact information up to Facebook. Then you could create a custom audience based on that data. So if, for instance, you are uploading a list of buyers, you may want to advertise another product to those buyers on Facebook. That's where that application would come in handy. Now, a custom audience could also be a group of people who took a specific action on your website. For instance, maybe you create a custom audience of people who hit any page of your website in the last 30 days. This would come in handy because you have a group of people who probably are hot prospects. At least they have been thinking about you and your brand in the last 30 days. So we might want to hit them up with a similar offer, another angle, something along those lines. The other thing we could do is we could create a custom audience based on people who hit, say, for instance, our homepage, but did not opt into our email list. And this would be a great strategy for a lead generation campaign. And the reason you might want to do this is, say, for instance, you had an advertisement that was running that got people to click, but for some reason when they got to your website, they didn't take the bait. They didn't enter their email address. They didn't follow through. Well, here's a group of people who are definitely interested in whatever it is that you're offering, but you might want to serve them a different ad or serve them the same ad that goes to a different page perhaps, or some sort of variation of the two, so that you can get in front of them again, because once again, you already know they're targeted and they're interested potentially. They just didn't follow through at that time. A custom audience also could be a group of people who engaged with your brand on Facebook. For instance, if someone watched 50% of a video on your page or in an ad that you're running, you could create an audience of those people. And once again, that might be people who are definitely interested in what you're offering because they sat through 50% of your video, but for some reason they didn't quite take action at that time. So the important thing to understand when we're talking about the difference between a custom audience and a lookalike audience is a custom audience is a group of people who are most likely familiar with your brand because of a previous activity or action, whether they saw your video or actually clicked over to your website or opted in or made a purchase. However, a lookalike audience is a group of people who most likely have never heard of your brand, yet they are likely to be interested. So how does that work? What is a lookalike audience? So a lookalike audience is an audience that Facebook creates to match the seed audience that you give them based on things like page likes, interests, buying habits, demographics, etc. So if you gave Facebook an audience saying, hey, these are the people I want to target, then Facebook would take those people and see what kind of similarities they can use to find people who are kind of closely related to that seed audience. So basically, a lookalike audience is generally built from a custom audience. So there's two types of lookalike audiences that I use. So what I might do is I might give Facebook a list of my customers or leads, and I'll say, hey, these are the people that I want to target because these are my ideal customers. These are people who have purchased my product. So I know that these people are definitely going to be interested in what I have to offer and be more likely to convert than the general population of Facebook. So I will give this list. I will create a custom list of customers and leads. I will give this to Facebook, and then I will tell Facebook, give me a lookalike audience so I can find more people who are similar to these people. Now, the other lookalike audience I might use, and this is especially important early on in new campaigns, is I might create a lookalike audience of people who are similar to the people who've watched 50% of a video ad. And the reason this is important is because when I'm first starting a campaign and I'm spending money, I'm generally not going to be profitable in the beginning. So if I wait and continue to run ads that aren't profitable until I get enough buyers to create a lookalike audience, I might have to go pretty far in the hole. But if instead what I do is start targeting people early on who've watched 50% of my video ad and then serve that lookalike audience the same video ad, I might be able to optimize my ads more quickly. And the reason is simple. 50% of a video view is a commitment. If someone is on Facebook and they watch 50% of my video ad, that means they're probably interested in what I have to offer. Now, they may not have purchased or opted into my list or continued forward with the process of getting to know my brand because they were busy or what have you. But the bottom line is if someone watches 50% of my ad, then they're probably interested in what I have to offer. So then I can create a lookalike audience and start targeting them, which is hopefully going to give me a better cost per 1,000 views than if I would initially just target interest-based targeting, which everybody has access to. I hope that makes sense. So that's the difference between custom audiences and lookalike audiences and when you should use one versus the other. But finally, when we're talking about lookalike audiences, you have to consider the size of the lookalike audience. So you can choose the size of your lookalike audience, whether it's a 1% lookalike audience, a 2% lookalike audience, all the way up to a 10% lookalike audience. The way that works is pretty simple and straightforward. Assuming there are 200 million Facebook users in the United States, and this will work with any country, if you create a 1% lookalike audience, then you would get an audience of 2 million people. Now, those would represent the people who are the most similar to your seed audience that you gave Facebook, whereas a 2% audience would be not quite as targeted, but it would give you a bigger pool of people. It would give you 4 million people. So just something to consider. Generally, I would start with a 1 to 2, and once your campaigns are dialed in, you can usually expand up a little bit. But hopefully that was helpful, guys. If you want to learn more about Facebook advertising so you can make more money, generate more leads, and grow your business, make sure you check out the first link in the description below to look for our #1 Facebook advertising resource recommendation. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to this channel if you do like these Facebook tips, tricks, and tutorials, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye now.